Right now it's Minnesota, and if I'm Minnesota, I'm like hoping that the Clippers or OKC goes on a short little losing streak and lets Denver jump over them because I don't want to see those guys till the final.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with us today on this Wind Up Wednesday edition, our cavalcade of stars, starting with William Cotton, team captain for life, and you're looking good with your gear that I slowly got to you. How you doing, Cotton, man?
Oh, it fits great, smooth, clean. Everybody need one. I finally got mine. This is good.
All right. Team leader, our favorite team leader, Mike King. Mike, what's going on, man? And thank you for joining us. You are a closet NBA guy. What's happening?
Happy to be here. I actually have a team I root for that's doing well, so that's a plus.
Absolutely. And I snuck in something for you a little later on the show, sir. Our favorite administrator, Robert Abney. Robert, what's going on, man?
Hey, I'm living the dream. I got in 1,700 miles of windshield time this past week going to call basketball games. Let's talk, man.
All right. So in today's Wind Up Wednesday edition, in segment one, we're going to go NBA top 10 and stories of the week, which includes Steve Kerr and his new contract. Segment two, we are going to break down the Golden State Warriors. And in segment three, all WNBA. But first, let's get with the top 10. Boston's one, Minnesota's two, OKC, Mike is three. That's why we got you here. Clippers are four, Denver five, Cleveland six. The Bucks are seven. The Knicks are eight. New Orleans is nine, and Dallas is 10. In the East, top six: Boston, Cleveland, Bucks, Knicks, Sixers, and Pacers. 7 through 12. Heat, Magic, Bulls, Hawks, Nets, and the Raptors are no longer in Bum City, but in Bum City, clearly there, the Hornets, Wizards, and Pistons. Will, what are your thoughts on the East this week, man? What's catch your eye?
Man, I'm surprised that there's a lot of teams who are playing well with a lot of injuries. The Knicks are playing very well, even with Julius Randle. I know Jalen Brunson was kind of beat up a little bit this week, or last couple 2 weeks. He's been great. Sixers somehow, I mean, I guess they're just feasting on the bottom feeders, which I guess you got to do. You got to beat the team that you're supposed to beat. So, they're playing pretty well. Interesting why the Pacers have not pushed that next step. They've added other players. They've added Siakam. I just haven't seen them make that move into that, like, oh, they're really here to do things. I think they're just kind of faking the funk. But everybody else looking good. And the Wizards are like, and last time I checked, maybe like yesterday, they're only like one game ahead of the Pistons. So they are really bad.
They're really bad. Robert, any thoughts on the East this week?
No, I agree with Will that the Sixers are somehow hanging in there, and like you said, they may be beating the people they're supposed to beat, but they're kind of hanging in there. The only other news of note that I caught this week, and I just found it interesting since y'all are in the area. The Wizards benched Jordan Peele.
Yes.
How
And
bad,
how bad do you have
how
to
bad do you have to be benched by the Wizards?
For who? Exactly. For.
how do you, all right. Mike, anything catch your eye this week?
Well, the Sixers are staying where they are because they're 4-6 in their last 10, but so are the Knicks, so are the Bucks. The Magic are the only team towards the bottom that seems to be on a little streak, but they barely won yesterday, and I only know that because for entertainment purposes only, that was very positive for me, that buzzer beater at the end. So, yeah, it's good for the Wizards finally being like really bad. For too long, they were like in that not bad enough to have a future, but not good enough to win. 9-47, that's what you need. 9-47, a couple of years in a row, then you have a team.
All right. And for me, fans, again, strictly for entertainment purposes only, the Miami Heat keep hanging around. They just keep hanging around. Something to keep an eye on. So let's move to the West. Top 6, Minnesota, OKC, Clippers, Nuggets, New Orleans, and Dallas. 7 through 12, Kings, Suns, Lakers, Warriors, Utah, and Rockets. And Bum City, Memphis, Portland, and the Spurs. Mike King, you are our resident Oklahoma City Thunder fan. What's caught your eye this week?
I mean, when they kind of whooped up on the Clippers, that was a big one. Um, Minnesota's they're doing okay too. Rudy Gobert didn't play yesterday. Again, entertainment purposes only. I was happy they won that game. But when I look at the West, I just see that top four. If there's chalk and that's your final four in the West, that's going to be good matchups. There's no one to avoid. But yeah, Thunder beating the Clippers for me is the big thing of the week. It just the way they did it just wasn't competitive.
All right, Robert, what about you in the West? What's caught your eye?
Well, if I'm any of those other three in the top four, I don't want to see the Nuggets till the final. So right now it's Minnesota. And if I'm Minnesota, I'm like hoping that the Clippers or OKC goes on a short little losing streak and lets Denver jump over them, because I don't want to see those guys till the final.
All right, Cotton Man, what's going on?
Man, the only thing, everything looks good that I agree with. The only thing that I told you guys and sent you a text was Darvin Ham talking about, oh, the Lakers lost because AD lost his voice and he couldn't call the defense.
Yeah,
and
he
to
had
me,
laryngitis or something, right? It wasn't,
man, this is the ship that won't sink. It's like half in the water. It's like hanging like this in the ocean, but it's just not going down yet. But I can't see them being in the playoffs. I can't do it. I can't.
All right, so my thoughts, and again, I'm stealing this because King's here. Mike, make your case. Wemby or Chet for Rookie of the Year, sir? The floor is yours.
Ooh, that's good.
So it's going to be Wemby because he's a stat chaser, and he gets to be on that team. Chet has to play to win, and it's a completely different thing. Is Wemby better? Probably. But is Chet doing everything he's supposed to do in that offense and defense? Defense was terrible last year. They're top 5? They were below average. He's the only difference. He's been great, but Wemby cares about the award. Chet cares about the wins, and he's got the players around him to do it. So it'll be Wemby.
All right. So story of the week, fellas. One more bite at the apple for Steve Kerr. So Golden State just re-signed Steve Kerr, who's been the architect for 4 championships, to a 2-year extension worth $35 million that will make him the highest paid coach in NBA history. Kerr's deal was set to expire at the end of this season, and his $17.5 million per season extension takes him through the 25-26 campaign, which kind of lines up with Steph Curry, kind of lines up with it. My question, and I'm starting with my favorite administrator first. Kerr is 58. He is an icon in that area. But Robert, when is it a good time to say goodbye to a coach, especially in this kind of situation?
Well, I can't see Golden State initiating that separation. I can't see it. I think he's done enough that, at least for right now, unless the wheels fall completely off, you can say you kind of have to let him, you want him to leave on his own terms. And right now, the contract ending the same time that Steph's contract ends, I could see them walking off into the sunset together. That being said, you know, 2 years is a long time. Who knows what's going to happen in 2 years? They could, Steph could blow out an Achilles. They could go 17-54, and they could decide to transition him into the front office, or Steph could, they could somehow engineer a trade and wind up with somebody, and have another little run. Who knows? But I think you really want to give him a chance to leave on his own terms based on what he's done for the franchise.
All right. So, fans, when we get back with our entire panel, we're going to break down the dismantling or the rebuilding of the Golden State Warriors. We'll see what direction our panel goes. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The CKA SAVE Project is an industry leader in advocating for student-athlete, academic, and athletic needs. Through academic and athletic enrichment, the CKA SAVE Project is on the forefront of the issues facing 21st century student-athletes. As student-athletes continue to struggle to find a better balance between academic and athletic success, the CKA SAVE Project offers academic and athletic services to support student-athlete academic success, including academic skills assessment, academic and athletic consulting, academic monitoring, academic and athletic workshops. For more information or to schedule a free consultation, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 2, we're going to do an extended breakdown of the Golden State Warriors and get our panel's opinion. So we're going to start off with ownership. Generally speaking, success does not last very long in the NBA. Teams break up, dynasties end, and they usually don't end well, and it's usually falling off a cliff. Golden State Warriors owner Joe Lacob, he rejects this, and he believes that the Warriors will be the exception. He believes in culture, and he started off by re-signing Steve Kerr for 2 years, and now with Steph. Steph turns 36 next month, and he's got 2 years left on his deal. Klay Thompson is now coming off the bench. Oh, man. Some nights it's going to be good. Some nights it's not going to be good. And then you got Draymond. Draymond's a distraction, but he is still running at his regular stat rate. And then as a team, they're 29 and 26 overall. Every week you get to see where they are, and they're in that 7 through 10 stage. They're 9.5 games from first place, 3.5 games out of sixth place, and 4 games from being out of the playoffs. Mike, I'm going to start with you because you're my team leader. You're the person I would bounce ideas off before the department meeting. I've given you this data, Mike. What are you thinking about Golden State and any advice?
Well, they're in that tough situation that the Patriots were in with Belichick, basically, where you're thinking of the past. Some of the players are still there, some aren't. Although they have more of their players, obviously, post Brady, but it doesn't end well. It's not going to end well because you look at the West and you could go down the line and see young talent on every team. They're just going to get better. Thunder have like 100 draft picks coming up, and they already have 3 superstars under 25. So how are you going to compete with them? Forget this year, in 2 years when those guys are 25 to 27 or 23 to 27 or whatever ages. Timberwolves have a young star. Clippers are older, but Nuggets are winning now. They're what you were a couple years ago, except now. So you're just in a bad spot. And again, it's what I said about the Wizards. If you're going to play for mediocrity, you're just going to stay mediocre. To me, the NBA, more than almost any other sport, you bet if it's the worst place to be. You got to be great or terrible. There's nothing in between, and they're in between. And it looks like they want to lock into being in between. So that's a bad spot.
All right, Will, you're my player. You're in the locker room, and you're seeing teams get better, and you're seeing everybody else get older on our squad. How are you advising Golden State? What are you thinking?
Man, they've earned the right to just ride it out. You know, when you won those kind of championships unexpectedly, because nobody really thought the Warriors dynasty became what it was. So we didn't see that. So I say, man, get the grace, man. Do whatever you want. Play through as long as you can. Obviously, when that trio breaks up, you're moving a new regime. You know, like you said, Kerr, that guy, he's doing all the right things. The guy speaks against human rights, women's rights. He says the right things. He's a good guy, a leader. Sounds like he's a good man as well. Clay struggling, trying to get into his zone. He's realizing that, hey, all I can do is shoot. I can't guard chair. And it scares you a little bit, especially as like a guy who's getting into my 40s. I'm like, oh man, like this hurts in the morning, or man, it takes a while to warm up than I thought, or man, all those stairs, like you know what I'm saying? So that's how it is, man. Draymond, obviously with him, he's kind of taking like a mental kind of a lot of heavy stuff mentally. Doesn't have the skill, and guys are cooking him, and it's kind of like frustrating him. So he lashes out with, I guess, fighting. But they have the grace to do that. They've won enough. They put banners up in the rafters. They have, one of the top 3 players in the last 20 years. So I'd ride with it. And the Warriors aren't really they're not a Knicks town. They're not the Boston town. They're not hungry for a championship. You know what I'm saying? So they can chill. They've won 4, so they're like, man, we good. They're not like Philly. There's no pressure. So ride it out, guys. And when it's over, it's over. And then when it's time to go to the next thing, hit it on.
All right. So, Robert, you're the voice of reason. Your administration. You see big picture. What are you thinking now? You got data in front of you. What are you doing if you're Golden State?
Well, if the owner really believes that, then I think you're doing 2 things. One is that I agree with Will in the sense that you can ride this season out. You say, oh, I mean, because right now, what else are you going to do? There's nothing else to do right now. You're going to ride this season out. At the end of the season, you have to make some decisions, though. You really have to make some decisions. If I'm making those decisions, and I'm not, I'm just some dude on a podcast, but Draymond is gone because he is a distraction. And those distractions, in my humble opinion, subtract from the culture that you're trying to create as opposed to improve it. If Clay still wants to be there, then you find a role. I mean, you can find a role for him to shoot. You can find time, you can find minutes for him to do that. But it's going to be a diminished role because, like you said, he can't guard anybody and he can't play 30 minutes back to back. He can't do that anymore. All of that said, you can say, okay, Draymond's gone, Clay has diminished minutes. Well, then you have to find other people to plug in there. And I don't know their draft choice situation. I don't know their cap situation. I don't know what they're able to do, but you can talk all you want about building culture. And Steve Kerr is a good guy to do that. And if anybody can figure it out, he can. But I think it's time. It's time. And you can say, oh, we've got this culture here. All right, well, then that should supersede people. Because that's what you said.
It rarely ends well. You have tough decisions to make. You got to put on your big boy pants, as we say in the book, to make those decisions. But yeah, Oklahoma City has draft picks. They're good right now. They're good right now, and they're not going to get worse. They're only going to get better.
They're getting a top 10 pick this year. This year.
Yeah.
Denver is good right now, and they're not going to get worse. And even if they remain the same, they're still better than you. Okay. So you've got that to deal with. It's hard to be in that middle land, and the guys that they're bringing in aren't performing at the level that they were projected to perform in. And you don't want to gut the fish because you got this brand new arena. We got this brand new arena that we've got to fill up because the checks are due and they got to clear.
An expensive city too. It's not like they're in Oakland; they're in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So
You know.
we're going to monitor them. We're going to wish them well. But unfortunately, in life, it rarely ends well. And with that, when we come back, WNBA news and notes for the week. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fowler Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 3, we're going to talk a little bit about the Phoenix Mercury. They are making some moves, and we're going to break them down. So, one, player-wise, Natasha Cloud is there, much to my bemoaning of the Mystics, and they have the talent to rebuild the dynasty. So where Golden State is on the decline, Phoenix is trying to get back up. Cloud is entering her 9th season in the league, and she was a high free agent priority. So fans, for those who don't follow WNBA, the Phoenix Mercury are one of the most successful WNBA franchises, winning titles in 2007, 2009, and 2014. They also made the finals in 2021. They've got new front office folks. They ushered a new era by hiring former NBA assistant Nate Tibbetts as their head coach. And Tibbetts' first hire, Christy Tolliver, as an associate coach. Also, the franchise invested in resources such as building a new practice facility, headquarters near their arena. They're trying to do things in a high-level way to entice people to want to come. And, man, Phoenix is a great city to live in as well. So, Mike, union guy, you see what Phoenix is trying to do? Players, coaches, infrastructure. What do you think about the moves that they're making, and will it end in a championship? What are you thinking?
There's a lot of good teams. Last year there was a great team. So could it? Sure, but I'm looking at the list of players, and one of the players you got listed is 41 years old. As someone who's on the way to 41, I can't imagine doing high level anything. So it comes down to talent. They have more talent this year than they did last year, so they could compete. But again, there's better teams.
Hey, Will, what do you think about the Mercury and what they're trying to do to get back to that championship level?
I don't know if it's going to work. I see what they're doing. They're trying to load them up because I think they loaded them up in New York Liberty. They loaded them up with the two women over there who are very nice. They also are obviously the Vegas. I mean, the Aces are just, they're still loaded, so they're just trying to do something, and they're trying to do the equivalent of the NBA Big Three or Big Two kind of thing. And they're trying to bring people in, but we'll see, like Mike says, it's hard when you're getting close to 40 and you don't get better. I'll say that. So,
Robert, I tried to sell you. I painted a picture. We got a new coach. We got a great assistant. We've got new locker room facilities. We got better travel. Yay! What are you thinking, sir? I didn't sell you.
Well, first of all, these guys won in about 40. Get off my lawn. Well, what they're doing, I mean, what they're doing should be the model for what all WNBA franchises should move towards. I mean, they're investing in facilities, they're investing in infrastructure, they're becoming a professional organization where they're not dependent upon anybody else for resources, for facilities, that kind of thing. And that should be the model for the WNBA, and I think it will be as more time passes. All that being said, Diana Taurasi is 41 years. It's 41 years old, and for a professional athlete, that is ancient. And how high a level can she play, and for how long? Brittany Griner, how much impact did that long-lasting impact did her incarceration in Russia have on her? Is it still having an impact? I don't know. So I think they're going to be better. I think they will make the playoffs. I think that they're going to be good. Are they Vegas good? That will remain to be seen.
And it does come back to New York is a great team. Vegas is a great team, and then there's that level underneath. And yeah, I don't know if they have enough to break through to beat Vegas or beat New York. And also, you got teams like Seattle making moves as well. So that should be interesting. Speaking of Brittany Griner, Baylor University retired her number 42 jersey in a contest earlier this month against Texas Tech. You've got to remember, fans, that Brittany Griner was dominant at Baylor. In her career at Baylor, 135-15, 2012 national championship, and she's a two-time Naismith Player of the Year, three-time Big 12 Player of the Year, four-time Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, two-time first-team All-American, and Final Four Most Outstanding Player. She scored almost 3,300 points in her career, and I am just so pleased that they took the time to acknowledge Brittany. Should have been done earlier. I'm going to let that go. Following will say, "Let it go, coach." So I'm going to say that I'm going to let that go. But Will, as a former player, any thoughts on Baylor hoisting Brittany Griner's jersey up to the rafters finally?
Like you said, finally done. Finally. I don't know what they're waiting on. They're not like they're like North Carolina or anything. They got like they don't got like all these people that they're trying to, Robert Griffin III. Like, you ain't got nobody like that. So, like, I'm glad it happened. She's had a very rough, like, last couple of years, especially with her detainment and all that stuff going on. And she actually came back, and I was actually worried if she was not going to have the mentality to go back into and fight as an athlete and go do her thing. But yeah, she came out. She played very well last season. She's fighting through that, man, and hopefully she's getting all the help and everything that she needs and all the help. But yeah, I'm very happy for her. It's been a long. I remember my first instance with Brittany Griner. She punched another player in the face during a game, and she like decked her, knocked her out, and I didn't really know what this would become, and I'm glad it turned over and became an amazing career. Very congratulations to Brittany, that's for sure.
Mike, any thoughts on Baylor finally doing the right thing with Brittany Griner?
I mean, Baylor seemed like a women's basketball school with the recruitment of Brittany Griner. So yeah, it's pretty much a no-brainer. Like, she was the program, and then you built a program, in big parts thanks to her.
And Robert, you are a Texas resident here. Any thoughts before we close out on Baylor finally raising 42 to the rafters?
Well, they just built a new arena. It's actually they're still doing cosmetic stuff outside. I mean, it's not finished, so it just opened. And that's a great way to open that new arena by doing that. I don't know if y'all saw, but at halftime of the game, there was she came off the sideline, grabbed a ball, and threw one down just for fun, I guess. So good on her for that. I will also let it go that it took them so long to do that, because there's nothing else you can do.
And with that, to close, I want to send a shout out to Dr. Timmy Fadaron, one of my former Wooten players. I happened to have the opportunity to spend some time in Charlotte, North Carolina, as I was en route to a conference at the University of South Carolina. Got a chance to meet him and his beautiful daughter. And my Wooten time is not spoken about as much as being at Paint Branch or being at Springbrook, but coaching at Wooten was the most fun I ever had. And to see Timmy, be so successful, I definitely wanted to send a shout out. And all week long, we're going to let our fans know that we're going to have short clips of the show coming out, just like Club Shay Shay and everyone else. Super producer Kelly is hard at work, and I don't know how this is going to look. Hopefully, we'll all still be employed. But I'm looking forward to seeing quick clips of our show out there, build our audience. So on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. And we'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.